be reading from Psalms 51 and Proverbs 4 and 23. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of thy tender mercies. Let blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Bestow unto me the joy of thy salvation, and unto me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shalt they offer bullocks upon thy altar. Proverbs 4 and 23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for all of it are the issues of life. God's word is blessed.
take this opportunity on behalf of my wife, Sister Barb, Bishop Dr. Woodley C. Thompson, and Sister Monique, to acknowledge the presence of our National Overseer, Bishop Dr. Franklin and Ferguson, his wife, Minister Rovina Ferguson, the Gravity team that is present here today, including Bishop Woodley again, and Pastors Branson, Gibson, and Pastor Julian Johnson. Of course, we see their wonderful wives here, and we welcome you to the service today. I want to take this opportunity also to extend greetings to Bishop Rick, former National Overseer Bishop Ghana Birami, and his dear wife, Mr. Jacqueline. This wonderful group of ushers led by our chairperson, Sister Gloria Brown. Congratulations. We appreciate your presence so very much, and we will be saying more about you in the service. Let's bow our heads. Father, we thank you. We appreciate you. Glorify your wonderful holy name. You are God, and beside you there are none other. We thank you, Lord, for the rising of the sun, the opportunities that you have given us to lift up your name and to spread abroad the wondrous works of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We thank you today for this group of persons who have come to celebrate with the ushers here at East Street as we observe our 18th annual event. Bless their ministry. Keep them, Father, in the name of Jesus Christ. We pray for those who have tuned in, and we pray that you bless them similarly. Bless his word today to the extent, Lord, that as I stand, I am not seeing that you are seeing. As I speak, that I am not heard but that you are heard. Lord, we thank you. You didn't bring us to this place, Lord, to challenge but to change us. So, Lord, we remain not merely receptive, but responsive to you. We thank you, Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. And God's people say it. Amen. God bless you. And bless the Lord again for your presence today. And this is Palm Sunday. And as you waved your palm branches, we could not help but reflect on the triumphal entry into Jerusalem of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He knew at that point exactly what would happen, the series of events that would lead to his death. But because he loved us, he continued on the road. Today, we can call ourselves born-again believers in Christ Jesus because of what happened factually during that Palm Sunday. Bless the Lord for his presence. Our theme from the Ushers ministry is guard your heart. Guard your heart. One of the biggest industries worldwide is that of security. Nations set aside significant percentages of their national budgets in order to provide national security for their leaders, agencies, borders, institutions, and infrastructure. These nations are so intentional on the subject of protection that training and cross-training are ongoing priorities. We who live in this part of the world are not left out. Protection and security are provided for any number of persons here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We have the police, defense, prison, private policing, bodyguards, aids, surveillance, electrical monitoring devices, watchmen, sensors, handguns, semi-automatic and automatic weapons, and any other number of items, defensive and offensive, in our national weaponry. We understand also that our economic survival is directly tied to the security that we provide for those who either supply or require goods and services. We are a touristic economy, and by virtue of us being that kind of economy, if things go awry and the tourists stop coming, we have an economic challenge. To be certain, this is the way it ought to be in any civil society. In the Bahamas, security officers are all over the place. Some of these persons have been highly trained for the task at hand. Some have little to no formal training. Some have not been properly vetted. Some of these security officers that we see in the Bahamas are physically, psychologically, or otherwise unfit for the job. Sadly, some of the security personnel that we see are there to facilitate crime. However, in oppressive societies, security takes on a different aspect. The brutal security forces of these nations are to keep citizens in check, even to the extent of jailing them or taking their lives. In Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 1, the wise man calls us to hear, ye children, the instructions of the father, and attend to know understanding. Let me read it again for the sake of emphasis. Hear, ye children, the instructions of a father, and attend to knowing or to know understanding. As you read through this chapter, you would note that the emphasis that the writer places on wisdom is directly tied into effective living. In verse 10, here is what the wise man writes. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. Here is another passage lifted from that same passage, from that same chapter. Take fast hold of instruction. Let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. For they sleep not, except, talking about the wicked now. This is verses 15 to 17. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness, and drink the wine of violence. After saying all of this, Solomon then moved to what I refer to as he moved from the secular application of this chapter to a more internal one. Verse 23 is the crux of this short sermon. And he says in verse 23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. And while it is said that the book of Proverbs is based on wise sayings, and that following these wise sayings will not necessarily lead an individual to salvation, one cannot help but thank God for the wisdom contained therein. Here the writer makes you and me the God of our heart. He makes us the sole God of our heart. You see, the enemy will always be just that, the enemy. But you must determine that your heart, the seat of your emotions, will not be dictated to by Satan. Our focus as the children of God must be on ensuring that our hearts are pure and given over entirely to God. Our hearts are too important to our very survival that we should be inattentive to what is happening around us. We need to know what is going on around us. We must commit ourselves to keeping our heart with all diligence. Verse 23 is rendered in Darby's translation, keep thy heart more than anything that is guarded, for out of it are the issues of life. You heard that? Keep thy heart more than anything that is guarded, for out of it are the issues of life. And then another parallel translation is the easy to read version, and here's what it says. Above all, be careful in the things you think, because your thoughts control your life. Let me Holy Ghost. When I read this chapter, when I got an understanding of what this passage is all about, I thought that this was perhaps one of the most profound passages in Scripture. God is saying to us that with everything else that is secure in this life, with everything else that we take painstakingly effort to secure and to protect, none of that is more important than keeping our hearts. We have to be careful of the people we allow to come into our mental, emotional, psychological, and to some extent our physiological space. Be careful of the people that come around you. They feed into a narrative, and this narrative, if you're not careful, will be the basis of your thinking. It will be the basis of your behavior. There are some silly people I don't want to be around. There are some Christian brothers and sisters I don't want to pray for them, shake their hands and passing. I don't want to be consumed by them because they've damaged the way I think. I don't hate them. I'm not angry with them. But they're not going to bolster my growth. Because I've been given this divine mandate to guard my heart. And I give you the same advice. Look again at the people you allow to get into your mental, emotional, psychological, and physiological space. I don't need them on my run because I am not their one. In many instances, beloved, we let people get so near to us that we are compromised. Can you say amen? Hallelujah. Guard your space. Guard your mind, and for God's sake, pay attention to who you allow to get your utmost attention. Do not surrender control of your mind to those who themselves are out of control. The issues of life are about your soul's salvation. The issues of life are about your family. The issues of life are about your health. The issues of life are about your relationships with people generally and the people of God specifically. These are the issues of life. Issues of life are about helping those whose quality of life is not at the best of human standards. That's the issue of life. The issue of life is about the fruit of the Spirit. Hallelujah. The issues of life is about being good stewards of those things which God has entrusted to us. The issues of life is about dealing with people honestly and not manipulating those whom you have authority People may not tell you, but people ain't foolish. Not that people are quiet with some of the stuff you do. Don't mean that they support what you do. Don't mean that they accept what you do. But the issues of life are so important that even the manipulator, you ignore the manipulator and you say, God will deal with the manipulator. Someone tell me amen. The devil wants to mess our minds right up. The devil wants to be like, he wants to be in a distant place. Manipulating the child of God. This message has come as an opportune time to tell us, guard your mind. Guard your mind. Anything you see some Christians doing ain't from God.